Yes, sir.
Yes.
Permission. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a fresh morning. I would like to inform you that the national level webinar on a strategic itinerary for interpersonal communication, scheduled for the faculty and students on 23rd October of 2021, will begin shortly. With 21 years of academic excellence, our King's College of Engineering is successfully providing our students with lots of activities and programs like webinars. Our college encourages our students by awarding with Best Outgoing Student Award, King of Kings Award, and cash prize for the rank holders, and so on. We also get to experience foreign industrial visit to enhance our career and to ensure our students get recruited by leading companies. I'm also proud to say that our college has produced civil service people too. Dr. Arokya Basilraj sir, who was once a professor here of EC department, now probably working with DRDO. And yeah, today, here we are with another webinar on interpersonal communication. Basically, interpersonal communication skill is crucial for your career development and productivity in the workspace. In today's world, online communication is vital in order to work effectively with your colleagues and bosses. So this webinar will have huge effect on your career and might change your perspective on interpersonal communication. Dear students and faculties, you are kindly asked to submit a feedback form which will be shared at the end of the session. Kindly ensure you submit the feedback form and you will be receiving the e-certificate. Now I'd like to call upon Mr. Radhakrishnan sir, who is the assistant professor from Department of English, King's College of Engineering, to fill us all with a warm welcome. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rajai. Thank you for fantastic description of our college. Thank you very much. And thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very much pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for a long time now, as well as those who are new to our institution. We are proud to be able to host this program on a strategic itinerary for interpersonal communication. Before we get started, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped us to make this event successful. We could not have alone done this with your support. We all have assembled here today to motivate and cherish the young minds present among us. With this, on behalf of our college, welcome with effusive words our resource person, Dr. S. Sankarakumar, Assistant Professor in English, Department of Applied Science, PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. Sir, we are really grateful to you to have accepted our invitation to be the guest at today's program. We welcome you with
Thank
a
you, sir.
heartfelt words, sir. And I welcome our principal, Dr. J. Arpadu DSLV, who is the key person to have materialized such an event this occasion. I welcome you, ma'am. I welcome our beloved HOD, Dr. V. Suresh Kumar, sir, Humanities Science. Sir, I welcome you, sir. And I welcome the HODs and the faculties of various departments of our institution. And I welcome the faculty of other institutions across the states of our nation and the participants, the student participants across the states of our nation. And I welcome all our students and every one of you. So thank you. I welcome every one of you once again. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity given to me, and I once again welcome you all.
Thank you for the lovely welcome address, sir. I would like to invite Mr. G. Dinesha, Assistant Professor, Department of English, King's College of Engineering, to introduce the guest for us.
Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our chief guest, Dr. S. Sankarakumar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Applied Science, PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. He did his PhD in English language teaching from Anna University, Chennai in 2013 and MPhil in English from Madurai Kamaraj University in 2007. He is a seasoned professional with an experience over 22 years in the field of English language teaching, task-based language teaching, web skills, language assessment, student management, and administration in engineering education. He is deft in providing effective leadership to the institution for its professional development and promoting high standards of students' learning. He is adroit in maintaining discipline, efficient within the institutional administration, and recommend appropriate professional development projects to all the staff under immediate responsibility. He is good at interpersonal communication and organizational skills with proven abilities in training and development, customer relationship management, and curriculum planning. He is prudent, disciplined, and self-motivated. New challenges motivate him to perform better. Achieving excellence is his passion. He has received the following awards. He teaches scholarship twice from US Embassy, New Delhi, for doing a 10-week online courses on web skills and language assessment in India with the University of Oregon, USA. A recipient of international certification for teachers and trainers, professional level with distinction from Cambridge ESOL examinations, University of Cambridge, and Wipro Mission 10X, Bangalore in May 2011. An international certification for high impact teaching skills from Dal Carnegie Training Institute and Wipro Mission 10X, Bangalore in March 2011. Further, a teacher educator at English Language Teachers Association of India for virtual learning programs, and he holds the position as Secretary of LTOI Coimbatore chapter. A British Council certified trained trainer for IELTS and BEC programs. Recently, he has been selected as a presenter by Cambridge University Press, Chennai, to present Cambridge English programs. He has published more than 15 papers in the international and national level and delivered 50 plus lectures at regional, state, and national level conferences and seminars, and attended more than 80 programs related to ELT, teaching learning process, curriculum development, web tools, educational leadership, and entrepreneurship. Today, we are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to him this morning. On behalf of all gathered here, I welcome you, sir, to this program. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful intro, sir. Our principal ma'am, Dr. J. Arpude Vijaya Selvi, who doesn't require any introduction as she is a well recognized figure of our institution. She is known for her wonderful administration and high achievements of the institution she is in charge of. Apart from this, she has completed her ME and PhD in National Institute of Technology, Trichy. She has also published a lot of research papers. We are grateful to hear your felicitation speech, ma'am. Please kindly join us, ma'am.
Thank you, Ajay. Respected Secretary Sir, HODs, resource person of today's program, Dr. S. Shankarakumar, Assistant Professor in English Department of Assistant Professor in English, Department of Applied Sciences, PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, faculty, staff, and my dear students. A very good morning to all. I feel delighted in offering felicitations to the national level webinar on a strategic itinerary for interpersonal communication organized by English Department of Science and Humanities. Strong interpersonal communication skills are vital for communicating and working within groups or individuals in our personal as well as professional lives. Most jobs require us to effectively interact and exchange information with other people. To establish relationships with others, we require good interpersonal skills. Strong and positive relationships in the workplace would influence and enhance the morale and productivity of the team. So, dear students, effective communication is the vital key to success, and I hope this webinar on interpersonal communication would certainly help you to initiate, practice, and master these skills. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. S. Shankarakumar for being with us today. My sincere appreciations to Mr. J. Radhakrishnan and faculty members of English department for their fruitful efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And now our HOD, sir, of Science and Humanities, Dr. V. Suresh Kumar, sir, such a wonderful person. We are eager to hear for your felicitation speech, sir.
Thank you, Ajay. Good morning once again. It's my privilege to address you all on behalf of our King's family, most respected Principal Ma'am, and today's resource person, Dr. S. Sankarakumar, Assistant Professor, PhD Tech, Coimbatore, and all the participants around the nation for this wonderful webinar. We truly delighted with your persons. Today, we are all have gathered here to enhance the interpersonal communication skills, which is very essential for today's competitive world. Our institution also aims to achieve great heights in this regard. This program intends to guide for the same. I am sure that this program will be protective and worth of your precious time. In this occasion, I thank the management and principal of our college to give permission to organize this type of webinar. And also, I congratulate the team of Department of English headed by Mr. J. Radhakrishnan to taking efforts to organize this wonderful webinar. Once again, I welcome all the participants and our most respected resource person for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Finally, it's time to call our resource person to present us with a webinar on strategic itinerary for interpersonal communication. I would like to call upon our resource person of this webinar, Dr. S. Sankarakumar, sir, Assistant Professor in English Department of Applied Science, PhD College of Technology, Coimbatore. Let me handle over this session right to you, sir. Please enter us with your webinar.
Okay, well, thank you so much, okay, for providing a great opportunity to interact with the students and the faculty members of King's College of Engineering. And I'm very much delighted and grateful to Professor Radhakrishnan and his team of faculty for having given me a chance to do this webinar. And connected with interpersonal communication, when we talk about strategic itinerary, first thing we need to look at that an important aspect. Okay, let me begin with a small Zen story. A university professor went to visit a famous Zen master. While the master quietly served tea, the professor talked about Zen. The master poured the visitor's cup to the brim and then kept pouring. The professor watched the overflowing cup until he could no longer restrain himself. It is overfull. No more will go in. The professor blurted, "You are like this cup." The master replied, "How can I show you a Zen unless you first empty your cup? You can't learn anything if you are already feel that you know." Preconceived ideas and prejudices always prevent us from seeing the truth. The master is trying to tell him to ease back and relax. The professor is too anxious about the whole thing. Here, I'm also quite anxious to deliver and to uh, make you feel quite comfortable in this process of learning, since I belong to the first learner. Some people want to be taught everything in one sitting. It is not possible. Of course, interpersonal communication is also of the same. It is through overflowing thoughts, through shaping your own knowledge and your own experiences over the period of time. You mentor yourself or you guide yourself, and further, you are going to take this into account, the way you perceive people and to process information. And before I do begin, let me share my screen connected with this presentation. Is it visible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, fine. Thank you. Before I do begin this session, let me ask you a question. What is interpersonal communication? Think for a moment and write down the words that come to your mind when you think of interpersonal communication. At least a couple of words that are all connected with interpersonal, the communication. As Aldous Huxley had stated that communication is purely an exchange of ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions, or a dreams or a vision to another person. According to Peter Drucker, the organizational communication guru, has stated, if you want to become an effective communicator or want to become a great employee in an organization, you need to be specialized in both spoken and written communication, because when you are going to interact with human beings, they are more reflective, they are going to retaliate. So whatever you say, first they do negate and later on they do accept it, if they are going to accept it to a certain level. So they are ready to respond to your query. So in order to ensure yourself that you are an effective employee, you can prove yourself at a technical level by feeding the data to the machine. The machine processes it 100% and gives that output. And that could be easily assessed with the quality check department, but that is not the case with the human beings. They're going to be more reflective. So when you are going to interact with human beings, you need to have the high potential speaking and writing skills. Interpersonal communication. Let's look at some of the explanations given by experts. In the sense, it is a special form of communication that occurs when we interact simultaneously with another person and mutually influence each other. The humanity's greatest accomplishment is speaking. Otherwise, we do behave like an animal. Assume that you are going to get up on a day and your mouth is zipped and your hands are tied, you do not know what to do. And suddenly you are taken away all the bliss of speaking. People cannot even live without communicating. So humanity's greatest accomplishment is purely, speaking, by having good interaction with others. Of course, it's a very complex process because we need to have somebody to listen. We need to have someone to respond our own queries, respond to our own questions, respond to our own inquisitive nature. As human beings, we expect others to respond. For a communication process to complete, we require sender, receiver, noise, channel, or medium of communication, and the context of communication, and the environment, and the competence level, and the performance of an individual are all completely interrelated. If something goes wrong, especially in the process of communication, then probably at one end the communication is successful, but in the other end it is not that much successful in this case. So communication gets a failure. It could be due to physical barrier or a psychological barrier or a physiological barrier. So the sender tries to encode the message through words. It's completely called as verbal communication. In a press wire conference conducted at Kansas University, they found that only 7% words will play the role. 93% of your communication is completely dependent on nonverbal communication that's connected with the vocal and visual professional environment. So sometimes this will become an acquaintance merely. So, according to Robert Bolton, who has written a book called People Skills, who talked about Emperor Frederick during the 13th century, the Holy Roman Empire, wanted to have an experiment. That experiment is whether the children who are born in Rome have been speaking Roman language as their prior language. He wanted to know that, for which he had separated 20 children who are all newborn, and he never allowed their own parents to approach. The king appointed nearly all the stepmothers to take care of the baby, and the babies were separated from the parents. And stepmother, whenever the child cries, who goes and feeds them with proper food, but they are not allowed to speak any single word. So after quite some time, because of that, there is no interaction between the stepmother and the child. All the children have been really drained of the dearth of language, so they all die. It is all due to that lack of communication. So lack of communication is quite dangerous. That is the reason. Okay, we have a proverb. Okay, silence is a great weapon than someone who is really outspoken. So lack of communication is quite dangerous. So it is better to outburst or to be more talkative. In interpersonal communication, you need to speak a lot. You need to write a lot. And to the country like India, having 130 plus crores of people, we have only limited number of writers. We have very limited number of speakers as public speakers. It is not the case of us. Everyone has not been given the chance of interacting, but because of their lack of exposure. So the lack of communication is quite dangerous, and that could be quite lethal. Always we have to look at that perspective. So, can we improve our interpersonal communication? The biggest question comes to us. Can we really improve? A science fiction movie called Star Trek. It was released during 90s. There was a character called Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock was being considered as a foreteller, was been touching the skull of the individual. It's like a blessing. Okay, touching the head of the other person, and immediately transferring one mind to the other. Immediately, whatever Mr. Spock has thought, that goes into the mind of the other person, and similarly, whatever the other person thinks, and immediately realized by Mr. Spock. So, has been a transferring one mind to the other, a faultless process, because his thoughts are very pure, and he has been really blessing each one, and she's completely free from all the errors and emotionally content and personal perspectives. Whatever he thinks, he transfers all the ideas to the other individual, whoever he touches. But nowadays, unfortunately, the mind melting technique is not available now. Imagine that if somebody is going to touch the skull of the other person, immediately transfers the thought. Whatever you feel, whatever the other person feels, immediately you are able to listen, you are able to identify, you are able to understand, you are able to visualize whatever that goes inside his brain. And imagine this technique, which is not even available now, this mind melting technique. If we are blessed with this mind melting technique, we are able to sort out all the problems in the world by touching the skull of the other person. Like in the problems between the husband and wife, the problems between the teacher and the taught, the problems between the head and the other workers, the problems between the manager and the labor leader, the problems between the political leaders and the public, all could be solved very easily because of having this mind melting technique. But unfortunately, this technique is not available with us. So, how can we really improve? The biggest question. So, many people are really fatalistic about their communication skills. They're quite dangerous. In Tamil, there is a saying, ஒரு சொல் கொல்லும் வெல்லும். By using a single word, you can really give the life to the other person, and you can mar or destroy the other person's life by using a single word. So many people are really fatalistic, quite dangerous about their own communication skills. Once you are probably that is one of the reasons why earlier days the kings were not even cursed by any religious gurus, because religious gurus are really pure and their thoughts are pure. Whatever they say, immediately that becomes a reality in picture. So that is one of the reasons. They are not going to get a curse from those religious gurus before 2000 years or 5000 years, or even someone, okay, who has been blessing you with a pure thought. You are going to get almost all the blessings. Otherwise, you are going to think like being lazy, and for which the guru has been pointing out the laziness of Lord Krishna. uh, this laziness is not part of the Aryan system. I do not know where you get this laziness, Krishna. Okay, I do not know where you get this laziness, Arjuna. Where did you get this laziness? When you are quite interactive, when you are quite active all the time, why do you hesitate to fight against your own people? And I don't think that it is better to communicate whatever you feel inside. So many people are really dangerous about their own communication. So even everyone can learn to communicate more effectively. So by learning, each one learns the process of communication by learning from others. Learning is always considered as a vicious circle. Whatever you learn today will become nothing tomorrow. There is a popular saying in computer science: you update, otherwise, you will become outdated. So, everyone can learn to communicate more effectively by learning from all the other individuals in the society. By looking at the nature, you can really learn. So, learning, as I had talked about, learning is a vicious circle. So, first thing, before you learn something, you have come to know a little bit, and you know a bit, and finally it becomes a habit. So when you have that attitude of learning, as I had talked about that first Zen story, so already your ears are closed, you don't learn anything. If you are going to keep open your ears, you are really learning. Everyone can change through this process. By learning from each other, you can change the whole world. Change will not occur in a day. Change is really a very, very small process. And there is an incremental improvement in everyone's life. So everyone can change. Change is the ultimatum. So there is a law of a change. in order to have good and effective interpersonal communication, first and foremost quality is you need to have an attribute of changing yourself, for which the first part is you need to be knowledgeable. Competent communicators are really knowledgeable. They know how communication works. They understand the components, principles, and rules of the communication process. Understanding these things is a necessary prerequisite for enhancing your interpersonal effectiveness. But this kind of knowledge alone doesn't make you a competent. You would not let someone fix your car's carburetor if he or she had only read a book. By reading the book, you cannot allow somebody to fix the carburetor of a car, but you must have that requisite knowledge that must be coupled with all the skill. So, be skilled is so important. And as we require the skill through practice, you need to really bring in a change in yourself, in your own minds. So, one second. Just let me know. My slide has been changing. Sir, is it visible, sir? Now is it changing, sir? The slides are changing. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience, sir. Okay. So the law of change goes like this: things do not stay the same. If they don't get better, they get worse. The things that you come across in the life will not be the same forever. So there is a time to change. It requires a little bit time to get changed.
Yes,
Otherwise,
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, it is not going to be that much effective. So
Yes, sir.
otherwise, the situations will become worse. Sir, is it the slides are changing, sir, right now?
It's not visible, sir.
The
Oh, yes, it's.
the next slide has come. Okay, has it been changing, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. Just let me know that, sir. If you just unmute, okay. If the slides are not changing, just tell me. I'm
Okay, sir.
ready to do
Definitely.
that needful, sir.
Definitely,
Okay.
sir. Definitely.
If the conflict doesn't decrease with the human beings, for example, okay, when you are going to interact with a lot of human beings, okay, by using that fundamental rights in order to manage your own relationship, it is purely an ongoing connection we make with others through interpersonal communication. So basically, no two individuals think alike. So conflicts will occur. simply because of that overlapping of ideas, or there could be the change of ideas from the other individual simply because of that perspectives are different. So that moment, when the perspectives are really varied, then there is a natural conflict with each one. If the conflict doesn't decrease, it will escalate very very high. Okay, it will escalate so much. So are you going to be a real tool to escalate the conflict among the individuals, or are you going to be a person to minimize the conflict with human beings? If the relations or if the relationships do not get stronger, they will get weaker. If you don't believe in others, according to A.V. Rodrigues, it is not about a communication that you make by simply exchanging ideas, thoughts, feelings, or emotions, but by instilling your belief in others, by ensuring that you are going to make others to believe in your idea. If you are going to make others to believe in your idea, you are transforming yourself from a mere communicator to an effective communicator. So if the relationships do not get stronger, they will get weaker all the time. It will die very naturally if the relationship doesn't become stronger. If the relations do not become closer, if you are going to keep your relations very, very, at a safe zone, or maybe um, keeping them away, nobody will approach you in future. So they will become more distant. The more you keep the distant with your relations, they are far away from your reach. So if the relations do not become more productive, they will become less productive all the time. So for which, I have a small story here. Um, it is it's a Vietnamese folk tale that says somebody wanted to identify the difference between heaven and hell, and they have been using chopstick for eating, and unfortunately they're not supposed to uh, bend their hands to keep the chopstick very much closer. So what they have done, it's the chopstick is at hand, but their hands are tied. They are not supposed to use that chopsticks at all. So what naturally felt by everyone is it was a real hell. They are not adequately fed when they are so hungry. So instead of keeping that as a kind of complaint, rather than making a lot of complaints about human beings, even though your hands are free to handle the chopsticks, what you can best do is you can feed the other person, and similarly, the other person is going to feed you. So it is all about helping each other in this case. If the relations do not become more productive, once you expect, once you keep your expectations very high, if you're not going to meet those expectations very stronger, then naturally, the expectations will vanish. It leads to a lot of failure. So don't keep your expectations very high with human beings, and so they will become less productive, and and you will become really dissatisfied with the human relations in this case. So communication is the real key for successful interactions. Communication is purely is the lifeline of any relationship. According to Aristotle, speak so that I know who you are. The once you start communicating with the other person, naturally, you are able to interact, you are able to transfer your thoughts. So without it, the relationship will starve to its death. So communication is purely the lifeline of any relationship. So when there is a chance to communicate, please do communicate. Don't keep yourself all the time, really keeping all your thoughts within yourself. So, according to Joel Osteen, you can change your world by changing your words. Okay, you can change your world by changing your words. Remember, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Look at that very great speakers like Martin Luther King and Winston Churchill and Mahatma Gandhi and Abdul Kalam and maybe Sashi Tharoor, okay, or any great speakers of today. If you see that, they're able to transform their own thoughts into words, and that words are getting great meanings, and the meanings are conveyed with a lot of interpretations. And the death and life are in the power of the tongue. So you can give the life by giving a lifeline by communicating. So, according to Robert Frost, there is a great saying: half the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't. The half of the world contains people who wanted to say something but they can't express. Now, the other half who have nothing to say but they keep on saying it. We do not want to listen to them, but they keep on telling more and more about less and less. So you need to identify whether you belong to the first group or you want to be in the second group. So either you belong to the first group means you are really lacking good communication. If you are going to keep into the second group, really you become talkative, and finally one day you will become an effective communicator by interacting more and more. By being talkative, you become more effective. So let's share a small moment, or just take a couple of minutes to think about that. Any moment or incident in your own professional or personal life where you think that interpersonal communication seriously broken down, intentionally or unintentionally, and you had an important lesson for your life. Your own interpersonal communication has taught you a big lesson. Just think of a moment or think of any incident because of your communication you have lost some good relationships with other human being. Just to take a couple of minutes and to perceive this thought. Think of any moment or a situation or any incident in your own life simply because of that the word that you used had destroyed the relationship, had stopped the communication with the other person, has seriously taken down by other individual, and through which you have learned the important lesson of your for your life. So after which you do not want to open your mouth at all. To learn any skill, you must break down into sub skills that you can learn and practice. Hear it, see it, do it, and correct it is the formula that seems to work best for learning any new behavior. Hear it, see it, do it, and correct it. So think of any moment or incident in your professional life or in your personal life that has stopped your relationship, that has really destroyed your relationship with other individual. It could be your colleague, it could be your friend, it could be your family member, it could be your uh, relations. Okay, simply because of that a single word uttered by the other individual. It could not be you, it could be the other person, and because of that you have stopped communicating with him forever. I hope you might have identified some situations in this case. So what are the roadblocks or drawbacks or barriers we do have it while we do have a lot of interactions with other individual? The way our mind works, the perceptions of the reality. Okay, perceptions according to you it is right, but according to the other person it could be wrong. That's called as perceptions of the reality. Okay, your mind never gets associated of accepting, it's more of a taking into granted into others opinion. Okay, he doesn't want to say anything, that doesn't mean that yeah, he's not he's quite interested or he's accepting. Simply because of that somebody nods the head, that doesn't mean that he has been accepting everything. You are ready to take it into granted certain things. It's all about your perceptions of the reality. First and foremost barrier we have it uh, with all of us. Okay, is we have our own perceptions. The perception, in the sense, before we do buy any product, for example, we have our own perceptions. Okay, that is a kind of feedback we tend to get from other person, and we do get that feedback from our own. That's quite intrinsic or from extrinsic. So intrinsic, in the sense, you yourself has been in the position to understand and to analyze the situation and to identify what is best and what is worst. Whereas in the case of extrinsic feedback, before you do buy something, you are going to get that you are going to get that the inputs from other person. It could be your mentor, it could be your guide, your friend, or your relationships. Okay, you are going to get that information from other individuals, and then you gain certain knowledge out of those ideas, and that will lead to acting upon accordingly. So perceptions of the reality and the stereotyping and prejudices. Okay, probably we tend to do the same job from morning 9 to 5. Okay, stereotype. We have that perception. Okay, like the members who are sitting in the last bench, they they are all really fools or they are not attentive. Okay, like that. So stereotypes. Okay, prejudices. We have our own prejudices. Okay, so as I had spoken about this Vietnamese folk story of talking about hell and heaven. So one day, a king wanted to know the difference between heaven and hell, for which he has sent his own group of soldiers who are really reliable to him and to go to different corners of the world to identify the meaning of heaven and hell. When these soldiers started moving around, they come across another Zen master, and that master was sitting in an idle position and started meditating. And these soldiers were really approaching this master and asking uh, the Zen master that question to distinguish what is hell and heaven. And immediately the Zen master has stated, "Oh, your king doesn't even know the real meaning of this heaven and hell. Oh, come on, he's not even qualified to be the king for this country. You don't claim him as a great emperor." And immediately, the soldiers had taken their swords and tried to cut the throat of the master. And immediately, master stopped them. Now you have opened the doors of hell. and suddenly they are awakened. They all have dropped their swords and started falling into the feet of Zen master and try to get the blessings. Now the master has said, now you have opened the doors of heaven. So perceptions of our own relationships, okay, it's completely called as transactional analysis. There is a concept called as a transaction analysis, according to Stephen Covey and other great writers who had written a lot of books about the transactional analysis, TA theory, okay, transaction analysis. We say that I'm okay, but you are not okay. You are okay, but I'm not okay. I'm okay, but I'm not okay, and you are not okay also. Like that, the concepts connected with TA theory, transaction analysis, especially this theory has been applied in workplaces. So the transactional analysis is purely any interaction or communication between two individuals. We say transaction, right? As we do a transaction in a bank, and how people say something is just as important as what is said. Okay, how some people are saying and what they are saying, both are very important. And people send and receive messages out of and into their different ego states. The different ego stages of our own life. Okay, sometimes, okay, even a matured person is going to behave like a child, and an adult who is always inquisitive and ready to question on everything, ready to rationalize everything. And sometimes we are in a parent ego state of mind. So in the parent ego state of mind, we do behave like a parent. We try to guide them for everything. We do try to uh, give advices to everything. So the TA theory involves three ego states. We have three ego states or a personality. Within each one, we have this quality. The first is all about a parent ego state. The second one, adult ego state, and third one is child ego state. The interaction sometimes, okay, we never even know that in which state of mind you are in, and suddenly you tend to change to adult ego state, or you tend to change to child ego state, or suddenly you change from a child ego state to parent ego state. When the child is going to teach the father or the mother, because according to social theories, uh, all the mothers are making their daughters as mothers, and uh, all the sons have been behaved like their own father. So according to the social theories involved, so each father creates another father, or who tends to make his or her make his son to behave like his father. So each mother makes another daughter as a mother in this case. So a parent ego state or adult ego state or a child ego state, that could be easily transformed. A parent indicates a life as it is taught. They do not want to change any principle simply because of that their desire to change. So life as it is taught, what my gurus have stated, what my teachers have taught, what my grandma has stated, and then I do not want to I do not want to change anything. When you say that, you are in the parent ego state, unconsciously acting in similar ways to our own parents. It's more of a nurturing parent or critical parent. You have to really look at yourself, that are you in a critical parenting or in a nurturing parent level. A nurturing parent is purely permitting and providing security, providing necessary guidance to the other individual. When you care for other person, you become a nurturing parent. When you become a critical parent, then you are trying to control all the other human beings. Okay, like do what I say, the attitude. Okay, do what I say. Okay, that attitude is purely a critical parenting. When you are quite egoistic, you have this parent ego state called as critical parent ego state of mind. A frown or naturally a parent indicates a frown or a stern look. How many times you have the fear of looking at your own father or a mother with a lot of fear. So turning, pointing of the index finger, you are responsible. Okay, you are responsible. Arms folded as to say, what are you doing? You have been wasting your precious time. Go and read, right? Do your studies well all the time. Controlling or maybe nurturing time. Okay, what are you doing? Using the phrases like you should, you ought to, that is right. What I have stated is right, and you listen. So words such as sympathizing, punishing, moralizing, judging, giving orders, or criticizing, all these sort of attributes are connected to parent ego state of mind. When you are really turning to be into the adult ego state, life as it is thought, this is what I am. Okay, probably the parent, when you are in a parent ego state, you have that attitude. Okay, I should not use the mobile for a longer period of time. But as an adult, you think, uh, I want to have the mobile because I am playing right now. Okay, I'm playing right now along with my friends. So life as it is thought. So living the present and responding to situations through rational thought. Okay, why I should not do, why I should not play. Question on everything. Okay, question on everything that you are in the adult ego state of mind. So when you are an adult, you are really looking at a very straightforward facial expression. Okay, why I should not do this? Okay, what makes me to restrain? Okay, what is really limiting? And naturally questioning everything. So active listener, eyes blink for every 3 to 5 seconds, so showing attention. Okay, I'm really listening. Then speaks of probabilities. Okay, uh, if I do this, okay, then what could be the result? Okay, if I do this, okay, what could be the result of this? Okay, and then talking about probabilities. Okay, if I reach there, what is the benefit of doing this work? Right, like that. So uses the phrases like in my opinion or based on what I have observed so far, the facts seem to indicate me that the company is really good. So in my opinion or what I say, like this, you are trying to justify in each and everything that you are really uttering. When you are in a child state of mind, life as it is felt, like you become more stubborn, adamant. Okay, you become more adamant, unconsciously reverting to childhood behaviors like primitive children, right? Primitive children who are really very strong enough to have everything. Okay, not even behaving properly. Sometimes you could see children who are all really jumping from one end to the other when some visitors have come. Primitive. Okay, they restrain. Okay, and immediately the parents also will do the mistake. Whenever a newcomer comes to the house, immediately they brought the child in front of them. Come on, tell a rhyme to the uncle or to the aunt. So immediately the child is really hiding itself, saying, no, no, I do not want to show my face to them. So it's a primitive children. And impulsive. Impulsive is purely, behaving in an indifferent way, behaving differently in front of others. You could see some children who are all really behaving differently when a visitor comes, not even in a controlled position. So demanding. And third one is quite demanding. For which I do say one simple example. One of my colleagues, when he was doing his fifth standard, The parents wanted to ensure that the child is getting good marks in his examination, for which the parents have challenged the child. Okay, if you are going to get in all subjects very good marks, definitely, we are ready to get you a tab, okay, or ready to get you a PlayStation. Okay, at the time, PlayStation 2 was very popular, and the child was demanding. The child was demanding at the time. Okay, I need to buy. Okay, I want to have PlayStation 2 version 2 during the time, and then immediately the parents have started a demand, have made a demand to the child that to get 100 marks in all subjects, or get at least 90 and above in all subjects. And unfortunately the child has achieved this feat, but these people at the time were poor earners, and then once the child is quite demanding, and then immediately the child came with a progress report to the parents, and started asking, uh, Papa, shall we go for buying the PlayStation 2 as you promised? They did not know what to do at the time, and then they tried to collect money from the other colleagues, and of course they bought it later on. But immediately, the parents tried to console the child, saying that, come on, simply because of motivating you we have indicated. Then the child is quite demanding, and stating to the parents, when you are making false promises, okay, what made you to do that? So I do not want to be considered as my parents at all. Okay, I do not want both of you to be considered as my parents, because you people were making very false promises. So I should not have been born in this family at all. That is the kind of a demand was made, and these people did not know what to do, and then finally they collected some money from their colleagues, and finally they bought that PlayStation 2 for the child, because the child was quite demanding, and some children were quite creative, and they tend to show everything, whatever the small work they are doing it. Okay, even so they have been showing it to the visitors whenever a visitor comes. Okay, this look at this. I have drawn this picture. I have drawn this umbrella. I have drawn this image, like with by using a sketch. So they are very creative. The child ego state is quite a smiling, laughing, and a lot of having fun. Everything so soft tone of voice, crying, having tantrums, okay, kind of complaining, getting into trouble a lot. Childlike facial expressions, okay, wish, I feel, wow, hooray, all these sort of the expressions when you make, you are in a child ego state. It is not that child who is going to behave, it is you who is going to behave like a child sometimes. So the complementary transactions may occur, like a question, what time is it? The answer is 3 o'clock. But when it matters to cross the transaction, what time is it? Forget about what time it is. Get that report finished. It is the cross the transaction. Like an adult, when an adult is communicating in a parent ego state, the manager is in a quite a demanding condition, saying that forget about what time it is. Get that report finished. So that could be the case. And ulterior transaction is what time is it? What time do you think it is? It is in the ulterior transaction, like an adult to another adult. When the transaction, when the communication that takes place between two, what time is it? Okay, what time do you think it is? Okay, the kind of question comes from. So the question is, okay, 100 o'clock exactly. Exactly. That's what is. Okay. So agreeing on, okay, mostly an adult is ready to accommodate another adult very easily. A child is ready to accommodate another adult, another child very easily. But when an adult is Adult ego state does not want to accommodate the parent ego state very easily, because when someone is going to question and you are in an adult ego state, you never accept it that much easily. Or maybe when you are in a parent ego state and your father is in an adult ego state, and then he says, you should not question me like this, okay, like that. So the positive response is, praise some other individual. Whenever there is a chance to appraise, whenever you have a chance to say congrats, okay, or appreciate the other person, okay, try to make a very positive response, okay, appreciate the other individual. So when you want to criticize the other person, criticize that individual in in an independent room or in a private room when you want to criticize someone, but don't criticize the other person in front of others. When you want to appreciate the other person, appreciate the good habit, appreciate the good quality of the other person in front of others, and provide a positive feedback. Okay, feedback is an important process in shaping your communication, in ensuring good interactions. So when you are going to interact with the other person, try to have a very positive feedback. Try to provide a very positive feedback instead of criticizing. You say it will be better if you are going to align yourself in this line. It will be better if you are going to change your attitude. It would be better if you are going to improve your voice quality. It would be appreciated if you are going to have good eye contact with others. It would be better if you speak to him straight. Okay, so providing a positive feedback is very important. And the compliments, try to compliment the other person, okay, when he does the good job, okay. And so it is not eulogizing. Okay, eulogizing means simply praising the other person simply for some reason. It is not so. So try to appreciate, okay, compliment the other person. Try to give him some gift. Try to give him. So don't attach a string to the gift that you are giving all the time. Don't expect the other person. Okay, I have given a gift to other person like 1,500 rupees, and then he has to give it to me back. No, it is not so. For example, I do tell you one of the stories which I've read. The husband and wife wanted to visit another friend's house at night, and immediately they have called the friend. We are planning to visit your house by 8 o'clock. Uh, shall we come? This is a question, and immediately, the other individual, the friend, has stated, "Okay, so you are always welcome to my house. So what you can best do is, like, while you are going to come to my house, you try to buy a very good cake, okay, a very good cake, and maybe that my son has achieved this feat, like getting good marks in his examination, getting admissions in an engineering college. So I want to appreciate his effort. So we are going to cut the cake in front of you, and then it's going to be a real surprise to my son. So what you can best do is, you try to buy a cake and come along with that. Then they come along with the cake. They started celebrating the day, and then but for the cake, the friend and the wife, they had spent nearly 1,500 rupees for buying the cake. So these husband and wife, uh, they had a lot of expectations, saying that at the end of the day, okay, when they started planning to move out of the house, the friend, both the members had a thought that he will be giving the money to the cake in which he ordered for, and he had kept it in his own mind and started having a bigger expectation that this friend is going to give that money back to him. But the friend has packed some sweets, and he came with a cover, and started giving it to the husband and wife. When they started moving out of the house, okay, then, okay, this is a small compliment to you, and because so much of the sweets have come, so you take it with you. Then uh, immediately, the friend, the husband and wife, okay, moved to their house, and then he thought that he would call the person and asking the money. But when he opened the box, he found a cover which contains nearly 2000 plus rupees. And immediately, along with that, a small letter was also there. Sorry, friend. Okay, then I knew that when I was willing to give the money to you for the cake that you purchased, you could have stated, I did not want to get the money, but it is my courtesy that I am the one who ordered this cake. I am the one who requested this. So I know that the job which you have done is so small, but the memories which we had during that celebration was so bigger. So I value that the relationship as the best one. So keep that money with you. Then immediately, the husband and wife felt ashamed and tried to call that individual, and ready to stated, ready to apologize for the things they have done. But the wife, had restrained. Okay, please stop. Don't. Okay, your friend has already kept you at the top level. If you are going to say, sorry, I have mistaken you for not giving the money during that time, and don't try to lose that respect also. Try to accept the small compliment which has been given by your friend. So compliment anybody, whenever is needed, right? Even you compliment a small boy or a girl, right, for the work they have done. Appreciate anybody in this case. So when you are going to compliment others, it is purely an expression of simple appreciation. Okay, a simple appreciation. When you smile, that will take you a mile in this case, and that will create a very good report about yourself. So negative response is purely non-constructive criticism. Okay, what you have done is wrong. Okay, these methods we have employed long back, it went on a failure, so we do not want to attempt this like that. So don't criticize. Okay, don't try to have a negative criticism on other individual. Then negative judgments. Okay, immediately we judge people by their attire, right? So according to John Molly, dressing is purely to exhibit three purposes. One is to look good to others, number one. Number two, in order to indicate our social status, number two. Number three, in order to protect ourselves from the environment or from the climate. We tend to judge others very easily by our negative impressions we create, that this person is not going to do any job as expected. So, and then trying to insult, okay, insulting others, and the expressions of disapproval, right? Instead of appreciating and insulting the other person, and creating a very bad report about yourself. Okay, it will create an image about yourself, or creating a bad image about the other person, almost demoralizing the character of the other individual. Okay, creating a very bad report. So uh, don't try to create a negative impression in others. So what are the life positions we can achieve? I'm not okay, so do you. That is the biggest condition. You are not okay with that. I'm not okay, and you are not okay. This is terrible. We will never succeed. It leads to great failures in our own life. I'm not okay, and so do you, right? And I do not want you to be okay also. If you are going to think it in that line, You do not have very good relationships with anybody in this case. This is very terrible atmosphere. You can't even work, you can't even succeed in your life. And I'm not okay, but you are okay. This indicates, this 1 minute break.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Sorry for the inconvenience, and throat dried up. Okay. So many a times, we all have this condition. I'm not okay, and you are not okay. That means, okay, it's almost in the marketing level. Like many a times, okay, the manager or the manufacturer or the owner of the organization will say, even though his profit is not good, right, just getting 5% of profit, but the customer is quite satisfied with that. So I wish I could do it as well as you do, right? So even though that margin is very minimal, but I'm quite okay. I'm quite okay with that, right? Like this, when you say, but at least the customer is very much satisfied with the kind of product in which he is getting. So one side, okay, I'm not happy, but at least you are happy with that. Okay, that's the case. And third one, I'm really happy, and you are not okay with that. So you are not doing it right. Let me show you how to do. Right? It's almost teaching. I'm really happy in this condition, but you are not going to be quite happier. So you are not as expected as a customer, okay, as an individual, okay, as a member who's been selling a product. The shop owner is very happy, but the customer is not happy with that because he paid a very high to the product. So this will give him an indication that it should be like this all the time. Okay, I'm okay, you are okay also. Whenever we do have interpersonal communication, we have to ensure that the other person is also going to be quite happier and is going to get the end result very happily. Is going to really speak to you with a lot of happiness all along. So be motivated, right? When you are really going to be motivated, you need to practice a lot. It's very important to practice. Practicing skills requires work. Okay, practice requires work. You need to be motivated to use your information and skill in order to ensure both are happy. You must want to improve, and you must have a genuine desire to connect with others if you wish to become a competent communicator. So if you want to become a competent communicator, what you need to do that is you need to make a genuine effort. You may know people who understand how to drive a car and have the skill to drive. You are reluctant to get behind the wheel. Or maybe you know someone who took a course in public speaking but is still too frightened to stand in front of a crowd. Similarly, someone may pass a test about interpersonal communication principles with the flying colors, but unless that person is motivated to use these newfound skills, his interactions with others may not improve. So you should create an atmosphere to anyone. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your relationship with your colleague. you have to ensure that you are also okay with that and other person is also okay with that situation, and for which you need to have the power of listening, active listening. Being an active listener is an important principle for achieving the success in your interpersonal communication. The worth of listening, it's not the voice that commands the story, it is the ear. It's not the voice, it is the ear. Okay. It is similar to a story which has been narrated by Shiv Khera in his book You Can Win. There was a balloon seller who was selling different kinds of balloons to the people on different occasions, okay, especially during festivals. Whenever his business was going down, and what the balloon seller was doing was he tried to fill that balloon with helium gas and started making the balloon to fly high. The children, while looking at the balloons flying in different colors, they had been approaching the balloon seller and started buying the balloon, and through which he has been getting some good business. By looking at it, a small child has been approaching the balloon vendor, asking the question, okay, will this blue balloon fly high? Will this black one fly high? Will this red one fly high? Will this pink one fly high? Will this white one fly high? Like that. He has been asking as many questions as possible. But the answer from the vendor is this: it is not the color of the balloon that fly makes that balloon to fly high. It is what is inside that makes the balloon to fly high. It is not the voice that commands the story, it is the ear. What you are really going to transform yourself is the you in you is more important. The way you want to project yourself into the whole world, that makes the person you are really a very great successful person forever. So it is not the voice that you are really communicating, it is the way you are really listening them 100%. So when you are really open-minded to listen the other person, you naturally become a successful person. The most important thing in communication is hearing what is not said. According to Peter Drucker, the organizational communication guru, has talked about hearing what is not said. Okay, we try to make a lot of interpretations or within the words, okay, within the sentence, okay, or between the words. We try to make a lot of interpretations. We are so good at making interpretations or hearing what is not stated, because we tend to generate stories more and more about the other individuals. So the thought of the heart, the biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply. Okay, if we are going to understand, we naturally become an effective communicator. In order to understand the emotions of others, you need to be an effective communicator. A great communicator will understand the emotions of others. So in communication, nearly, in an active hours, 11 to 12 hours in a day, in our own formal years of training, that 9% of the time, we are doing only writing process. Okay. So, and let's look at this table from the bottom to the top, okay, from bottom up level to the top. So almost 45% of our time in an active hours in a day, 11 to 12 hours in a day, 45%, that means nearly 5.5 hours, we are listening. We tend to listen others. And the 30% of the time we do spare for speaking. But nowadays, the speaking becomes very limited because of the introduction of almost all the technological gadgets. We tend to communicate, or we use SMS language. or we tend to text others. That's it. And the reading, unless or until somebody tests you by have the test by tomorrow, okay, you have been introduced with a text by tomorrow, immediately, we do read. Otherwise, can nearly 1.5 hours we are reading. Otherwise, we never even read anything in a day. And the writing, that becomes very poor now, because of only 45 minutes at the maximum we do write. We are sparing only 45 minutes per day we do spend for writing something. How many people here have the habit of writing a personal diary or a personal journal, or a maybe blog or a vlog, something? If we are really going to think it in that line, we become very poor in communicating almost all the macro skills of the language, like listening, speaking, reading, and writing in this line. So, active listening requires a definite intent to listen. There is a concept called intent. Intent is more important in achieving the target, right? Assume that uh, the expectations of today from an industrialist, from a recruiter today, you must be a T type of individual. A T type of individual indicates you must be specialized in so many skills. You must be good in speaking, reading, writing, and listening. Okay, so many things. Okay, you have to do. You must be a multitasking individual, but you must be a person who is specialized with at least one skill very strongly. So that's called as intention. Okay, what is the purpose of listening, right? Assume that when you are going to communicate the message to your manager, or maybe a message which has been communicated over phone to you by your managing director, if you miss a small information, that will really limit, or that will that will sack your job. Okay, if you don't listen him properly. So there should be a definite intention to listen. Focus on the speaker. Okay, try to focus on the speaker, what he wanted to convey throughout that lecture. So verbal and non-verbal encourages, like uh-huh, okay, head nod, or a facial expression, gesture, posture, smile, his eye movement, his hand movement, whatever is connected, the vocabulary, everything is mattered more. The way he pronounces uh, the words and phrases, right? The way he constructs the sentences, all these are all very important. Uh, then feedback loop to ensure accuracy. So you need to provide at most good feedback or a bad feedback, like providing a positive or a constructive feedback or a critical feedback. You have to do. Once you tend to do that, then the active listening involves three major things. One is about listen, question, and reflect, or a paraphrase. Okay, try to answer. Listen 100%, be an active listener, 100% active listening. And a question on the unknown zone. Okay, once you have not understood anything, it is nothing wrong in asking the person to get it clarified. In order to get it clarified, you have to question. So questioning is an important skill that will give you a big knowledge of the information that you want to arrive at. Then reflect. So try to restate the information or paraphrase the information. Try to reflect your own views. Once you tend to do that, then you can really become an effective communicator, especially with reference to interpersonal communication. So to feelings as well as words. Okay, so words that will lead to emotions, and the emotions will lead to implications. What the emotions mean to you. Okay, and focus on the speaker. Don't plan, speak, or get distracted. Right? Don't be distracted by your speaker. Okay, probably you need to plan it perfectly, right? And then you have to speak what is intended to speak. Don't get distracted by the speaker. what is the speaker talking about, whether the speaker has any topic, and what is the profile of the speaker, and who are the listeners, what about the other people who are really looking at it, right? So listen with a lot of intention, and then look at the speaker, use that non-verbal and verbal encourages accurately. Questioning indicates, you are listening, try to gather information from others, you need to clarify. So by having a question, like open-ended questions, tell me more. How did you feel? What happened the next? Okay. By asking such questions, you are going to demonstrate to the other individual you are really listening him 100%. And then reflection indicates, reflect what is stated, or what is said in your own words. So uh, when you are going to make an effective presentation, and when you are going to answer somebody's query, and try to repeat questions, it's not to the person who asked the question. Your answer should meet to everyone. So try to reflect what is said, and reflect the feelings of the other person, and try to reframe. So capture the essence of communication, remove negative framing. So try to remove the negative effect in your mind, and move towards that the problem solving. If you are in place of the manager, what solution would you arrive at? Okay, what solution would you give, right? And so move forward towards the problem solving. There is a concept called as a Johari window, that from Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham. These were the two people, and the first two letters of Joe and Harry was taken. So through which they have formulated this concept called as a Johari window. There are things that that's called as a free area, free domain. Okay, that known to everybody. Everyone is aware of that. Like a King's College of Engineering, everyone is known. So known to all. Okay, it's the self. Known to others only. Okay, others have known, but you do not know. Okay, there are things that others have known, but you do not know. There are things that known to self only. There are things that you know about yourself, but there are things that others do not know about yourself, right? There are certain secrets behind you. Okay, and you do not want to disclose this habit. And there are things called as hidden area. Hidden indicates, there are things that you do not know and others also do not know. So free, known to all indicates free area, and known to self only, it is you are aware of yourself, and others do not know much about it. And known to others only, that means others are really aware of that you have this particular weakness, but you do not know because you are unaware of your own self. And there are things called as hidden self. Okay, hidden indicates, you do not know and others also do not know. So through which, we can easily understand. So from one end to the other, you have to really magnify this box. You have to magnify the box. Okay, so the more you become open minded, you become more transparent. And when you become more transparent, then you are free from all the distractions. You are able to take the life and death similarly, like how a saint is going to take the life and death equally. Okay, so when you are going to achieve something, you are going to jump to the sky. When you are really losing something, and then you are going to keep inside your own shell and crying for it, is not going to happen. You have to make a balance of the life, and so that will be achieved when you become more transparent. So you have to increase from known to self to, okay, from the hidden zone to known to others, and known to others to known to self, and from known to self to known to all. There are barriers to interpersonal communication. socio-cultural barrier. When you are going to interact with the other person must be willing to interact. Okay, there could be a cultural difference. You know only English, the other person is aware of only Hindi, and you want to communicate something, the other one doesn't want know anything, even though he knows something, but he doesn't want to do. So, socio-cultural differences, and these socio-cultural differences may limit your communication process, especially in an interpersonal level. And the second one is about a personal barrier. Okay, you have your own limitations also, and you are not good at your own communication, you are not confident about your own self. Then a third one is about situational uh, limitations. Okay, situational in the sense you are not provided with good situations to interact with others. uh, you need to look at all these sort of barriers in order to build your own self, in order to become an effective communicator, especially at an interpersonal communication level. You need to have a sustainable relationship. This will not happen in a day, it comes by practice. You need to be quite compatible with others. Okay, whatever may be the condition, you need to adjust. Okay, as a learner you need to adjust. Okay, because your purpose here is to learn. You have come here to learn. So compatible, being compatible, and you need to care for others. Once you start caring for others, you naturally become an effective leader, as I had stated. And there should be commitment, a commitment to the job that you do, whatever may be the small task or maybe the big task given to you, and try to be committed to the job that you are doing. And then compromise. Okay, so try to make compromises, when not at losing your self-respect, but it's better. Okay, it is for the betterment of the organization. You can compromise. Okay, so because you have come here to perform your task, that's it. Okay, there is no other relationship. Okay, there is a word, okay, very lengthy word in English. uh, that's name of a village in New Zealand. Okay, in New Zealand there was a village called Taumata Wakatangi Hanga Kautama Tituri Piki Maunga Hanga Kautama Haranokpo Kaivenho Kitanataka. This is the name of the village. That means, they have taken the first letter of each person who is living in the village. They have coined this term, this very, very lengthy term. And that means I can fish in my pond. Okay, I can fish in my pond and you can fish in your pond. There is no relationship between you and me. It is not the case. You have come here to perform a task in a workplace, so you have to make compromise. You can differ opinions, not people. You may have differences in opinion, but not individuals. You can hate somebody. It is not so. You should not hate the person. You can hate the opinion of the person, but you should not hate the person concerned. So compromise is the next important one, and a constructive disagreement. Okay, even though I do not agree, but there is okay, that is for the betterment of the organization. You are ready to agree on something. So if you are going to keep these five major principles in life, especially in a workplace, especially in order to gain the trust of other person, in order to maintain a good relationship, okay, you that something called as a trust is there. The trust will be built. Otherwise, you cannot get the trust back to you. You cannot. Okay, you won't be trusted by anybody if you are going to lose all these five major principles, especially with the relation to interpersonal interactions. So there is always, the story continues. Okay, who is going to win the race? whether it is the turtle or the rabbit. Okay, who is going to win that the race? In interpersonal interactions, it's purely, to sum up, it's purely uh, transactional. As communicators, each party uses verbal and non-verbal symbols and signs to construct messages around his or her intended meaning. At the same time, the receiver brings a similar or possibly different meanings to task of receiving and interpreting the message. So each one simultaneously tries to influence the other individual, or simultaneously influences the other's behavior. And number two, in order to achieve the success, it should be getting involved in face-to-face communication. This rules out all sorts of interpretations. When you are going to have an face-to-face communication, you do not mean any other thing except the words that you utter very plain to them. So you are able to communicate accurately and efficiently uh, in interpersonal context. Okay, there is no way to erase a regrettable message. The success lies in you as a great individual. Okay, when you are going to build a good relationship with your friends, family, or with your neighbor, or with some XYZ. Okay, it's all about how good you are, how knowledgeable you are, how skilled you are, how motivated you are. So once you are able to follow these principles behind in your life, you can really become an excellent communicator, especially with reference to interpersonal relationship. You can really turn the world towards you. That's it. And thank you so much. Okay, if you have any questions, you can raise now. I'm ready to ask you in this case. I'm ready to answer it in this case.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. And there is a question from Anjamal. The question is, what is the prominent platform for creating active listening and arousing curiosity in making interaction in proceedings of interpersonal communication?
Okay. Could I have the questions once again, sir? It's a, what is
What
the
is what is the prominent platform for creating active listening and arousing curiosity
okay?
in making interaction in proceedings of interpersonal communication?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Active listening. Active listening indicates the more you respond to them. Okay. Probably by head nod, and then uh, it should be more of a dialogic. First of all, okay, in order to arouse the interest in others, first and foremost quality is, you need to know the pulse of the other person. Okay, what is the intention behind the other person's thought? Okay, number one. And number two, in order to get motivated in your communication, uh, the purpose of the communication to be met, basically, it should be mutual. Okay, it should be mutual, and in order to create interest in others, mutually benefited at the end of the day. Okay, both are mutually benefited in a business talk. So once that is met, then almost all the problems will be resolved very easily, sir. Okay, I think I have answered the query. Okay, by understanding the emotions of others.
Thank you for your precious time, sir. Such a wonderful webinar it was. Thanks for your enlightening us with your valuable webinar on interpersonal communication. Those historic epic stories were so interesting. So once again, thanks a lot for your efforts, sir.
Okay, well, thank you.
Uh, Students' feedback link will be posted. Each and every one of you are request to fill and submit a feedback form. E-certificates will be more valuable assets for your career. So kindly ensure you fill the feedback form and grab your certificates right away. Now it's time to call Mr. Rajeshwaran sir, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to present us with his word of thanks. Sir, kindly proceed with your speech, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good afternoon to all. A warm and cherished afternoon to our most valued honorable chief guest, Dr. S. Sankarakumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Applied Science, PhD College of Technology, Coimbatore. On behalf of our Secretary, Dr. R. Rajendra Sir, and our Principal, Dr. J. Arpidal J. Ma'am, and entire faculty and fraternity of the Institute, sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's event a grand success. By His blessings and grace, we are able to make the event what it was. Sir, your thoughts have enlightened our minds and shown us a new path. Once again, I thank a lot for you, sir. Next, I give a really heartfelt thank for our college principal, Dr. J. Arpida J. Selim, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, I thank our first year HOD, Dr. B. Suresh sir, and I thank our department coordinator, Mr. J. Radhakrishnan, has extended this opportunity for all of us. Thank you, sir. Finally, I thank for our major chunk of audience who have attended from nationwide, statewide, college-wide. For all, I thank you so much. And I special thank for our Ajay from EC second year students, such a wonderful campaigning. Thank you, Mr. Ajay. English communication is a gift. Use it all, but not abuse it anywhere. Once again, I thank a lot for all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And on behalf of myself, okay, I thank the organizers for having given me a chance to interact with the students and to the faculty as well. So thank you, Radhakrishnan sir, and thank you to your entire team for having provided me a chance to interact, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. It was really nice and useful for all of us, sir. Really conducive and really good, sir. And of course, sir, we have need of a PPT. If this possible,
I will send it, sir. I will send it. Okay, I will email you this. Okay, don't
yes,
worry.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because one of the participants has demanded for it, and
Okay.
we would able to send it to them to that
Okay.
particular person.
Okay. Well,
Okay, sir.
definitely, sir.
Okay, sir.
Well,
Madam,
definitely, I'll send it.
and Madam, Principal Madam, do you have any words for our resource person? Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Hello.